You guys know about this kid, Austin Reaves? Plays for the Lakers, kind of good. He's got his own signature shoe now. Hey, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on Austin Reaves' first official signature sneaker from the Rigorer brand, and these are the Rigorer AR1s. For those of you guys that don't know, Austin Reaves is signed to a very small brand that's over in China. I don't know if they're a new brand necessarily. I think they're new-ish, at least when you compare them to brands like Anta and Li-Ning and stuff like that. They don't have as much history there as those brands, but it's not like super new. It's just new to like American culture and stuff. But we did review the previous shoe from Rigorer that he was wearing. I think it was called the War Ender. And so if you wanted to check it out, feel free. But basically this is his official signature shoe. So I think that that's really cool, especially when small brands are doing that kind of thing. Like obviously you need someone to promote your product. Otherwise people don't know about it. And maybe, just maybe, it's him. If you guys remember what that's about, you already know. You don't know?
No.
Did you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically one game he like went off. LeBron was on the bench and stuff. I can't even remember if LeBron was playing that night. He might not have been. He might have been resting. Can't remember all the details.
That's load management. He's not resting.
Whatever you want to call it, that's cool. But basically Austin Reaves just went off. Like he
had a night.
He had a great game. Towards the end of it, he had hit a shot and he started like running back being like, yo, and so yeah, they have that right here on this shoe in the Laker colorway. Some of you guys have probably already have seen this shoe. I think they debuted the, I don't remember exactly what they called it. I think it was candy or cotton candy or.
That's very Way of Wade.
It is. I don't dislike this brand or anything. They actually sent these shoes over, so I thank them for doing that. But you know, they're definitely following in footsteps of their predecessors, which would be like their storied brands that are over there, their heritage brands at this point. But yeah, I think that the shoe though feels very good. Like there's a lot of tech in here that you wouldn't think would be in here, especially for a new brand or new-ish brand. So yeah, so I think that if you were interested in these, you might actually be satisfied. Like, well, to be perfectly blunt, almost all of these Chinese brand shoes, I'm talking Li-Ning, Way of Wade, Anta, and I know that Li-Ning and Way of Wade are the same, but they treat them like Jordan Brand and Nike. But if you try those shoes out, and I'm talking about like as far as price per performance, you get way more for your money with those brands, I'm just saying. Especially if you pay retail price for the products like Chinese retail, it's way more affordable than any Nike product. And then even if you're comparing US dollar value, which obviously they mark them up a little bit to sell them over here, you're still getting way more bang for your buck with something like this than almost every Nike on the market, like everyone.
Wow.
Now, as far as performance features are concerned, the outsole right here is just very interesting. It's radial, so you know that this is gonna work well. On top of that, it is a Chinese brand, so the rubber used is gonna be good for both indoors and outdoors. However, the grooves here are very thin, but the rubber itself isn't like really soft, you know what I mean? So it feels like it's gonna be okay for both indoor or outdoor. Obviously, you're gonna get more life out of them indoors than you would out, but if outdoors is all you play, these brands over in China, that's what they cater towards. They cater towards their main audience, which is the Chinese consumer, and they almost primarily play outdoors, so that's what it's for.
It's making me dizzy.
It's a lot of radial, but it's cool. They look a little bit like a Curry. They look a little bit like the Reebok Solutions.
They kind of look like the Reebok JJ Watt shoe.
A little bit. I wonder if maybe Iverson or something like that was one of his favorites.
Maybe.
Who knows? Now, as far as the cushioning is concerned, the midsole itself is EVA, but inside of the midsole, in the forefoot section specifically, they have what they're calling Showtime foam. And I believe they're actually showing you kind of like what that is right here in the tongue, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But basically, it's like an eTPU, very similar to Boost. And the way that the brand describes it is just that it has an 80% spring back rate. So underneath your foot, the way that you load into it, it's supposed to return about 80% of that energy back to you. So keeps you on the floor a little bit fresher, a little bit longer. They are very comfortable, I will say. And one of the coolest features about it is actually the insole. They actually come with two. So this is one of them. I don't know exactly what the material is and everything, but it's kind of like a firmer foam. And then it has a crash pad right here in the heel for extra comfort. So this one right here should mold to your foot a little bit nicer in the long term. But if you like something a little bit different, this guy right here is also in the box. This one feels more of like a polyurethane, still a little bit softer, but not quite as dense obviously as this one. So yeah, there's two options there. One has more of a molded arch versus the other one, which is way more flat. I don't even want to call that neutral. It's just not really even there. But if you don't want either of these things, they're not glue glued in so you can remove them. That way you can put in any insole that you want, or if you wear an orthotic and all of that stuff. However, I will say that when you do pull them out inside, they are see-through, especially at the midfoot. There's this weird cutout or carve out within the midsole with the shank plate in there, and you can see all the way through the shoe. So I don't know if you have one of those just like straight up heel orthotics where you have to take out the insole and then you're on kind of the footbed minus the heel area. It might be a little bit weird for you. Now the midsole is raised and everything, so it's going to cup and hug your foot really well. So I love that. It's a great performance feature for anybody. So if you move around a lot on the court, you're gonna like that. They're also very low profile and fairly wide as well. So lots of stability and court feel without sacrificing too much cushion. And then the heel area is reinforced. So not only do you have the EVA wrap plus the TPU side panels, those little yellow balls that you see on the side. And then inside there as well, there's another extra heel counter. So you got lots of support and stability right there in the back of the shoe, which is perfect. The upper of the shoe reminds me a little bit of like the Currys and stuff, especially the modern ones like the 10s and things like that. But it's supposed to be, you know, symbolizing a cocoon. And the way that the brand described it was just that, you know, Austin Reaves is kind of like molding into the player that he's going to end up being. And with this being his first shoe, there's really only one way to go. Well, there is two, but hopefully we don't think about that. And yeah, hopefully he turns into a badass on the court.
Sweet. Plus I could be your bodyguard too.
But basically it's a textile. There are lots of overlays and additional reinforcement in terms of stitching. You have the typical heat welded fuse areas. It's in all of the high wear areas and the stress zones and stuff like that. So again, it's very typical, especially for modern day performance. They have a couple of other cool features, one of which is a anti-slip or anti-skid little area in the back of the heel. Instead of it being that cat's tongue thing that you see Adidas typically use, it reminds me of like hospital socks, like the little bottoms and stuff. They just got those little sticky pads. It's kind of fun. The weirdest thing though is the tongue by far. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the window into the sole that's in the tech and everything like that, but it reminds me of the window down here. It's just that it's showing you all of those pellets in there. What they actually say that this is for is to relieve lace pressure, which is true. I don't know how well it's gonna last because plastic breaks down and everything, so this is not gonna be one of those shoes that, like, you know, is good 13 years from now and stuff, but for right now it'll work out just fine. Now as far as sizing is concerned, I would go true to size. They actually sent me a 43, which is a Euro 43. Normally I'm a 42.5, and they do fit like they are a 9.5 and everything. So I would go true to size if possible. Most of their shoes are built just naturally on a slightly wider last. So I'm assuming that wide footers will be good to go going true to size. If you already have the shoe, or if you've, you know, tried the shoe out and you're overseas, if you could let everybody know in the comment section, that would be great if you can help us out. But outside of that, it feels like a solid shoe. I think it's a great signature debut and everything like that. I think they feel better than a lot of the other debut signature models. They're not lacking really any tech and stuff like that. Like if you're going to compare this to the new Giannis, which I know I keep using in various videos, but it's one of the newest signatures that we reviewed, so that's kind of what it is. But they're very similar. Instead of the zoom, it's TPU and yada yada yada. But sound off below and let us know what you think about the AR1 from Rigorer. Down below in the comment section, are you an Austin Reaves fan? Is he him? Is that how to word that?
I don't know how else you would say, is he, I'm him, like.
That's true, sounds dumb. But either way, we'd love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. We will catch you guys on the next one. So until then, have a good one.